Your soulmate was forced to make a choice today. They risked it all for you. My beloved child. Today, your soulmate was backed into a corner and given a choice they never expected to face. It wasn't something they could postpone until tomorrow. There was no comfortable middle ground, no way to keep everyone satisfied. Someone close to them finally said the words they had been avoiding: either step away from what they feel for you, or accept the consequences of choosing you. For several long seconds, your soulmate said nothing. Their hands were tense. Their heart was racing. Everyone in that room assumed the silence meant they were about to surrender. But they misunderstood what was happening inside them. Your soulmate wasn't deciding whether you mattered enough. They were realizing just how much they were prepared to lose rather than pretend you didn't. And then someone placed one final condition in front of them. A condition so serious that even your soulmate looked stunned. What happened next changed the entire conversation. Instead of arguing, your soulmate asked one quiet question: and if I choose them? The room went still. That question wasn't supposed to be asked. They were told exactly what could disappear from their life if they refused to walk away from you: support they had depended on, relationships they had protected for years, and a future that had once seemed secure. One person even reminded them how much easier everything could become if they simply let you go. But something had changed in your soulmate. Maybe it was remembering a moment with you that nobody else knew about. Maybe it was realizing that a comfortable future would mean nothing if they had to spend it wondering why they abandoned the person their heart kept returning to. Don't skip, because this is where their choice became much bigger than anyone expected. Your soulmate looked directly at the person pressuring them and gave an answer that nobody in that room was prepared to hear. They chose you, but that wasn't the most shocking part. They didn't choose you with some dramatic speech or an empty promise. They chose you knowing exactly what it could cost them. And when someone demanded to know why they would risk so much for a relationship that still carried uncertainty, your soulmate finally revealed something they had apparently kept private for a long time. They said there was one moment between the two of you that changed how they saw everything. A moment you may not even realize mattered. They remembered what you did when they were emotionally exhausted, when they expected judgment and received something completely different from you. That memory had stayed with them far longer than you knew. But just as everyone began realizing their decision was real, another person in the room interrupted with information your soulmate had never heard before. Suddenly, the choice they had just made carried an entirely different meaning, because what was revealed next wasn't really about your soulmate at all. It was about you. The person who interrupted didn't raise their voice. They didn't need to. They simply looked at your soulmate and said, "Before you sacrifice everything, there's something about them you deserve to know." Your soulmate froze. Not because they suddenly doubted you, but because the tone suggested this secret had been deliberately kept from them. Then a folded piece of paper was placed on the table. Nobody reached for it at first. Your soulmate stared at it while everyone else waited for fear to do what pressure couldn't. Finally, they opened it. What they saw wasn't proof of betrayal. It was something far more emotional. A detail from your past showing that you had once made a quiet sacrifice connected to them, long before they understood how deeply you cared. And suddenly, the person trying to separate you had accidentally revealed the strongest reason for your soulmate to stay. Your soulmate read the page again, slower this time. Apparently, there had been a moment when you could have protected yourself by exposing something deeply personal about them, yet you chose silence because you knew revealing it could damage their life. You accepted being misunderstood rather than use their vulnerability against them. Your soulmate had never known. They had wondered why you disappeared emotionally during that period, why you seemed distant, why you never defended yourself when others questioned your intentions. Now the pieces were beginning to connect. They knew all of this, your soulmate asked. Nobody answered immediately. That silence told them enough. Someone in that room had known what you sacrificed, and had allowed your soulmate to believe a completely different story. But there was still one question nobody wanted to answer: why had the truth been hidden until today? Then your soulmate noticed something written near the bottom of the page. A date. They recognized it instantly because it was the exact day everything between you seemed to change. Suddenly, memories came rushing back: the strange conversation, your unfinished sentence, the way you looked at them as though there was something you desperately wanted to explain but couldn't. Your soulmate stood up from the table. The choice was no longer between you and everyone else. Now it was between accepting the story they had been given for months or finally discovering what actually happened. And they chose the truth. But before leaving, your soulmate turned toward the one person who had remained unusually quiet and asked, "You knew, didn't you?" The expression on that person's face changed instantly. Because yes, they knew. And what they admitted next revealed that today's ultimatum had never been spontaneous, it had been planned. For the first time, the quiet person couldn't hide behind silence. They admitted that conversations about separating your soulmate from you had been happening for weeks. Not because you had done something terrible, but because certain people feared what would happen if your soulmate became serious about you. They had noticed changes. Your soulmate was questioning old expectations, making independent decisions, and refusing to let other people control their future. And somehow, you had become the symbol of that change. That was why today's choice had been arranged so carefully. They believed that if enough pressure came at once, your soulmate would panic and choose security over you. Instead, the pressure exposed something nobody expected: losing you frightened your soulmate more than losing the comfortable life everyone was offering them. But there was another layer. Your soulmate demanded to know who started the plan, and suddenly nobody wanted to make eye contact. Then one name was mentioned, a person your soulmate trusted deeply. Someone who had smiled around them, listened to private conversations, and acted supportive whenever your name came up. Your soulmate looked genuinely hurt. Why would they do this? They asked. The answer was uncomfortable. This person believed your relationship would eventually pull your soulmate away from the future they had imagined for them. So they began planting small doubts. Nothing obvious. A question here. A warning there. Every misunderstanding between you was quietly made to look bigger than it really was. And your soulmate finally realized something chilling. Some of the fears they thought were their own had actually been planted by someone else. That realization changed their next move completely. Instead of confronting everyone, your soulmate pulled out their phone. They wanted to contact you immediately, but their finger stopped above your name. There was something they needed to understand first. They asked for every message, every conversation, every detail connected to the pressure campaign. Stay till the end, because what surfaced next made even the people in that room uncomfortable. One message showed that the person behind everything had known your soulmate might choose you anyway. And they had prepared for that possibility. There was a second plan, something designed to reach you directly and make you walk away first. Your soulmate's face changed when they realized it may have already happened. Because suddenly, they remembered one strange thing you had said recently, something that suggested someone had gotten to you before they could warn you. That memory hit your soulmate harder than anything else they had heard. Days earlier, you had said something that seemed small at the time, maybe your life would be easier without me in it. They had wondered where those words came from, because you hadn't sounded angry. You sounded defeated. Now they understood. Someone had reached you first. Someone had carefully made you believe that staying close to your soulmate would destroy their future. Your soulmate immediately demanded to see the messages connected to that second plan. At first, everyone denied knowing anything. Then one person finally admitted that you had been contacted indirectly and given information meant to make you step away voluntarily. The cruelest part? Much of it wasn't completely false. Real details had been twisted just enough to make you believe leaving was an act of love. Your soulmate's expression changed from shock to determination. They finally understood why you had become quieter, why certain conversations felt unfinished, and why you sometimes pulled away just when the connection between you seemed strongest. You weren't playing with their emotions. You had been trying to protect them. And the people pressuring your soulmate had counted on exactly that. They knew you cared enough to sacrifice your own happiness if you believed your presence was hurting someone you loved. But their plan had one weakness. They never expected your soulmate to discover both sides of the manipulation on the same day. So you made them believe I wanted distance, your soulmate asked. Nobody answered. They didn't need to. Your soulmate grabbed their phone again, and this time there was no hesitation. But before they could contact you, a new message appeared on the screen. It came from the very person whose name had been connected to the plan. The timing was almost impossible. The message contained only a few words. Don't call them yet. You still don't know everything. Your soulmate stared at the screen, then slowly looked around the room. How did this person know what was happening right now? Someone there had clearly been updating them. Suddenly, your soulmate realized the pressure wasn't over. Choosing you had only triggered the next stage. And then a second message arrived, this one containing a photograph your soulmate had never seen before. It showed you in a place they immediately recognized, standing beside someone who was never supposed to know about your relationship. But it wasn't the person beside you that frightened your soulmate most. It was the date printed beneath the photograph. The date changed everything because the photograph had been taken before anyone was supposed to know how serious the connection between you had become. Your soulmate zoomed in, searching for some explanation hidden in the background. Then they recognized the person beside you. It was someone connected to the very circle now demanding that they walk away from you. For one painful second, doubt crossed their face. Had you known about the pressure all along? Had you secretly met with someone and never told them? But your soulmate refused to let a single photograph erase everything they had just learned. Instead, they asked the question everyone else seemed desperate to avoid. What happened immediately after this picture was taken? That question shattered the confidence in the room, because the photograph showed only the beginning of the meeting, not what you actually said. The truth came from the last person your soulmate expected. They admitted that you had been approached that day and offered an easy way out. You were told that if you disappeared quietly, your soulmate would be protected from conflict, disappointment, and the possibility of losing important support. Nobody threatened you. That would have been too obvious. Instead, they appealed to the part of you that cared most. They made leaving sound noble. But you didn't agree. According to the person finally telling the truth, you said something simple: they deserve to make their own choice. That sentence stayed with your soulmate. You hadn't tried to control them. You hadn't demanded they choose you. Even while others were manipulating both sides, you protected their freedom to decide. And now, on the very day they were finally forced to choose, your soulmate understood exactly what that meant. They stood, took the photograph, and announced that the conversation was over. Someone warned them that walking out would cost them everything that had been promised. Your soulmate paused at the door, but they didn't turn back. "Then I'll build something different," they said quietly. That was the risk nobody believed they would take. Security. Approval. A future already arranged for them. They were willing to place all of it on the line rather than let fear decide who they were allowed to love. But just as they stepped outside to finally contact you, their phone rang. It wasn't you. It was the person who had orchestrated the entire situation. Your soulmate answered, expecting another warning. Instead, the voice on the other end said, "Before you go to them, ask why they never told you what they gave up for you." Your soulmate stopped walking. Because apparently, the sacrifice they had discovered on that folded page was only the beginning. Your soulmate didn't respond immediately. They stood outside with the phone pressed to their ear, trying to understand what could possibly be left. The voice finally explained that months earlier, you had been given an opportunity that could have changed your own future in a major way, but accepting it would have meant stepping permanently into a situation that could complicate your soulmate's life. So you quietly turned it down. You never told them because you didn't want gratitude mistaken for love. You didn't want them staying because they felt indebted to you. That revelation struck your soulmate harder than the ultimatum itself. All this time, people had portrayed you as the risk in their life, while you had secretly been absorbing risks of your own. But one detail still didn't make sense. How did the caller know about a sacrifice you had never mentioned? Your soulmate asked exactly that, and the voice on the line went quiet. Then came the admission: they knew because they had been involved in presenting that opportunity to you. Suddenly, everything connected. The meeting in the photograph. The strange date. Your silence afterward. What had looked like evidence against you was actually evidence of what you had refused to do. Your soulmate's anger faded into something deeper. They realized how many moments between you had been shaped by information neither of you possessed. How many times had you both mistaken protection for rejection? How many nights had each of you wondered whether the other cared, while outsiders were quietly controlling what reached you? Your soulmate ended the call with one sentence: "Nobody speaks for us anymore." Then they finally called you. But you didn't answer. Once. Twice. 3 times. Each unanswered call made the situation feel heavier. Your soulmate sent a message saying they knew about the photograph, the meeting, and the choice you had made. Still nothing. Then another message arrived, from you. It contained only one sentence: "I was told what you chose today." Your soulmate stared at those words. Somehow, news of the ultimatum had already reached you. They immediately typed that they had chosen you, regardless of the consequences. Before they could send another word, your next message appeared: "Then you need to know what they offered me today, too." Your soulmate stopped cold. Today hadn't contained one impossible choice. There had been 2, and while your soulmate was risking everything for you, someone had been asking you to make a choice of your own. Your message revealed the part nobody had prepared your soulmate to hear. Earlier that same day, you had been approached with an offer designed to end everything quietly. If you agreed to step away, the conflict surrounding your soulmate would disappear. Their support would remain intact. Their carefully planned future would stay untouched. And once again, the people behind it had tried to make your love work against you. They told you that if you truly cared, you would disappear before your soulmate had to sacrifice anything. But you refused to make their decision for them. You said you would accept whatever your soulmate freely chose, even if that choice broke your heart. What you didn't know was that, at almost the exact same time, your soulmate was sitting in another room being pressured to abandon you. When your soulmate finally told you what happened, there was a long silence between you. Not an empty silence. The kind that comes when 2 people suddenly realize how close they came to losing each other because everyone except them had been controlling the conversation. Your soulmate admitted what they had placed on the line. You admitted what you had been prepared to lose. Neither of you had demanded sacrifice from the other, yet both of you had been willing to carry it. That was the truth the people around you never understood. This wasn't about proving love through suffering. It was about refusing to let fear, pressure, or someone else's expectations make the most personal decision of your lives. Your soulmate had been offered the safer road, and they walked away from it because a future built on denying their own heart no longer felt safe at all. Then came the choice that mattered most. Your soulmate didn't ask you to promise forever. They didn't ask you to repay what they had risked. They simply asked for one thing. From this moment forward, no more decisions based on rumors, intercepted messages, or what someone else claims the other person feels. If something hurts, you ask each other. If something feels wrong, you speak directly. And if the future becomes difficult, you decide together whether it is worth fighting for. Because today exposed something bigger than the ultimatum itself, people could manipulate distance, hide information, and manufacture doubt. But they could no longer make your choices for you. Your soulmate risked the life others had planned for them, not because they knew exactly what tomorrow would bring, but because they finally knew who deserved a voice in that tomorrow. And when they chose you today, they also chose something neither of you had truly been given before: the freedom to discover what your relationship could become when the decision finally belonged to the 2 of you. But the consequences of that choice arrived faster than either of you expected. Before your conversation could even settle, your soulmate received another call, this time from someone who had remained completely outside the conflict until now. There was no anger in their voice. Only urgency. They warned your soulmate that one of the things they had risked by choosing you was already being taken away. The threat wasn't theoretical anymore. Someone had acted. Your soulmate could have panicked, called everyone back, and tried to undo what had happened. Instead, they looked at your last message and made a decision that surprised even them. They refused to bargain. If choosing honestly costs me something, they said, then I'll face that honestly too. But the caller interrupted with 4 words that changed the situation again: you're missing the point. What your soulmate learned next exposed the final weakness in the plan against you.